All right, I am back again. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I want to talk to you singers out there today, and I just uploaded a version of me singing Do You Remember by Phil Collins. It's a very interesting song. I already mentioned in this other video that I was going to make a how to sing this video, and that's what I'm doing right now. And basically, Do You Remember is very tricky. And you find, even though you don't expect it to be so difficult, you find even very experienced singers to become a little irritated or finding themselves in difficulties trying to nail the tone of because of the trills that Phil Collins puts in every here and then here and there in the song. And it is in a range that you wouldn't really expect so much of this happening. Usually when you have a song like, maybe another example, Teddy Swims with his I lose control, this kind of thing. This is where this, it's kind of so, it's hard to overlook, right? I mean, it is a very in your face, and he does this so that you need to focus on this passage, and then you work through this, and these trills and Do You Remember, they are a lot more subtle, and so many singers tend to just ignore them and change the line that they sing to something different that's a bit easier to get, because and I want to demonstrate this, because you really need a good, well-balanced twang technique, basically, to mimic the way that Phil Collins sings this. And because the range where this is happening also, and also the vowels in the word remember, it is, I'm not even a native English speaker. I'm from Germany, and I find this kind of a difficult word. It's one of these complicated words for German speakers, at least, to pronounce right. The E vowel is always a bit problematic, because it gets you to choke easily if you don't modify it a bit and make more of an instead of an E. You know, if you like really keep it so close, a closed E vowel, it's any singing teacher will tell you that this is it needs to be modified a bit, or at least it makes it easier for you to get the tone right, and then also you produce a bit more lows in the E vowel when you sing it more like an A. Yeah. I want to start the song and then pause when there is these passages that tend to throw people off, and give you a bit of an explanation there. There's not so much of the problematic stuff happening in the beginning. But also there, try to approach singing this with a light mix or chest. We never talked about it, but I hear the blame was mine, and I'd call you up to say I'm sorry, but I wouldn't want to waste your time, because I love you, but I can't take any more. There's a look I can't describe in your eyes. If we could try like we tried before, would you keep on telling me those lies? Do you remember? Okay, and I need to, I almost stopped the video. I need to stop the playback here. Okay, there we have these first two problematic passages, because the first one is, let me skip back a bit here. Would you keep on telling me those? If you notice, if you pay close attention to my voice, you can hear that I'm already applying quite a bit of twang to the sound of my voice. If I was to talk like I was just singing the song, it would sound more like this, right? I would have it will be a bit more like a wah wah wah, you know, like this kind of sound. And there are many singers who do this, and many people haven't figured this out about Phil Collins. He does this a lot, but it's on a very subtle level. So they don't really think about applying twang to their voice when they sing Phil Collins songs. But you need this twang technique in order to find the right balance in the tension of your voice, the right amount of pressure. And it's not much that you need, but it's just enough to get these trills right. Also, when the chorus comes in and he sings, "Do you remember?" It's almost like you have to the vowel is more like a ha, right? But in order to get these different tones and to separate these tones from each other, you need to apply H, an H consonant, to get these tones separated. Unless you want to sound, or if you don't, then you sound like, "Do you remember?" You know, like and that's not really three different tones. It's not, that's like, and you don't want that. You want to sound like, "Do you remember?" And you don't expect this to be so difficult in this more or less easy range. This is like speech range for most male singers, I guess. "Do you remember?" It might be slightly above, but not much. And that's what makes this so difficult, to find the right tension to separate these tones from each other when doing these trills. And what I noticed when I figured this out, how to sing this, is it helps me psychologically if I imagine the tones not going down, but I have to, I know that I must sing these tones in a descending way, right? But at the same time as singing these notes down, I think upwards, just for this little passage, just for this trill. I think up, because if I do this to give myself a bit of a psychological clutch, you know, to not to overdo it, not to become too low when it comes to these notes. If I was thinking, oh, I have to end up at this low note, and that's what I think about when singing this, "Do you remember?" And I tend to overdo it. I tend to not get these tones right and sing them too low. It's kind of the intuition that everyone has when singing this. And to make up for that, I kind of try to trick myself psychologically and think upwards while I'm singing downwards. I don't know whether this tip is beneficial for anyone but myself, but me. But I found out that this helps me personally when singing this, so I thought I'd share this with you, and maybe you find it beneficial when singing this. All right, I want to continue singing through this. And also, "Do you remember?" I do the same thing. I think upwards while I'm singing these notes downwards. And generally speaking, it is usually not beneficial at all to think about upwards or downwards when it comes to high and low notes. It makes a lot more sense to have more of a forward or backwards kind of envision when singing notes. When you want to think forward for low notes and inwards or like backwards for high notes. It makes a lot more sense. You will find it much easier if you didn't know yet, if you try it this way. All right, I want to go on, but basically this is almost like the core difficulty that you need to figure out trying to sing this song. I listened through many other versions of other singers covering this song with their band or in a karaoke style like I do. And some try to get around these passages. They sing it completely differently when it comes to these parts. They sing, "Do you remember?" or whatever. Or they just leave out the trill and "Do you remember?" like that. I mean, if it sounds all right to you, that's fine. You know, you're not stuck to. It doesn't have to sound completely like the original. But in this case, I'm trying to get kind of close. All right, so I'm just going to continue singing through this, and then when I come across something else that I find interesting, then I will pause again and give you a bit of an explanation for that as well. Now, okay, all right, I hope. Do you remember? And it's gonna be fish. There seemed no way to make up, 'cause it seemed your mind was set. When the way you looked, it told me it's a look I know I never forget. To my side, you could have let me know. You could have tried to see the distance between us, but it seemed too far for you to go. Do you remember? Very tricky there on an O vowel, but it seemed too far for you to go. And I didn't quite nail it. I made it better the second time round. Seemed so far for you to go. It is like also, it helps a bit when you think about grinning a little bit when singing this. Like you know, you don't approach this in an opera kind of style of singing, you know. It seemed too far for you to go. That's, you know, if you're like on that kind of thing, that think more. And oh yeah, loudness. Almost every time when it comes to nailing things, the most important parameter, if you can say parameter, okay, I'm coming from this synth kind of stuff, you know, where we have all kind of different parameters that we're messing with these synthesizers. If you apply the same to the voice, you know, the modifications that you can apply to your voice and to change the sound, loudness is the most important variable in your singing. If you want to find your head register, you will never find your head register when you're singing loud, like maybe through a microphone with a band with a full drum set in the same room or something, and you're used to belting a lot and you have difficulties finding your head voice. It will never happen when you approach this in opera kind of style and singing loud. I found it very beneficial to try to completely ignore the timbre, the tone of my voice, the color of my voice, how it sounds, and try to sing as quietly as I can, mostly in head voice. And then for lower passages, you kind of automatically reach your chest voice without even thinking about it. It happens naturally, and that is a very, very great exercise that I can only recommend to anyone who's ambitious with his singing. Because also when it comes to compression technique and also this twang technique, you don't get it in an opera style of singing. You will never get it from, I mean, what makes opera singing what it is basically this yawn technique where you have to, you're trying to make, you're always trying to sing as loud as you can with this impressive volume and all that, and you always apply this yawning technique, and some of that is used in pop and rock singing as well, but not so much. That's you usually don't sing on these loud levels, which makes it easier to modify the voice. To me, many opera style singers, I am impressed by the pureness of their tone, the pureness and the loudness of their tone, and how they manage to reach so many people, and like I said, the loudness, the volume that they produce with their singing. I find that really impressive, but I also find it rather one-dimensional when it comes to coloring your voice, when it comes to playing around with compression and distortion, and also, sometimes not even trying to sound beautiful. Sometimes you want to sound ugly. Sometimes you want to get different emotions across that have to do with aggression, with anger and fear and things like that. And I think all these expressions, they come across a lot better when you modify the tone of your voice, and you don't have this freedom in classic opera style singing. You simply don't have it. At least that's my opinion. Maybe there are some examples that could prove me wrong, but that's at least how I see it. Okay, I want to see if I find any more. Okay, so watch out for this this passage that I just talked about. Okay, let me continue. Do you remember? I didn't quite name it there, but it was okay. Now comes the belting part. Through all of my life, in spite of all the pain, people are funny sometimes, 'cause they just can't wait to get hurt again. Tell me, do you remember what I just noticed when I sing? Do you remember? It's, you want to focus on, do you remember, on that one. Like, do you remember? Do you remember? If you got past this remember part, and now there's only this burr that's left. That's basically split into 3 different notes. Do you remember? It's almost like, imagine when you're like on a train and like the ground is a bit, shaky or something, that's kind of what you want to go for. That's the kind of thing that you want to imitate with your voice. This, this, do you remember? And again, the notes go down, but I'm thinking up, especially after the remember part. That's when I start thinking upwards instead of downwards. Please let me know if you've tried this out and found it helpful. That would be good info for me. All right, let's continue. There are things we won't recall, and feelings we'll never find. It's taking so long to see it, 'cause we never seem to have the time. There was always something more important to do, more important to say. But I love you wasn't one of those things, and now it's too late. Do you remember? Do you remember? And I just noticed something else. It's what makes this so difficult. Do you remember? I kind of said this before, but again, maybe to get it to explain a little more precisely. Do you remember? In this range, you get in most other songs, you are completely relaxed when singing this. But all these other songs don't contain these trills, like and you need the exact the exact right amount of balance between being completely relaxed and then building up a bit of the right amount of tension that you need for these trills. Remember, and I can only give you the advice: try to practice this in an isolated kind of way, just 1,000 times in a row. Just remember, 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 and think about this kind of twang technique. All right, this makes going from to all right. Do you remember? Do you remember? Give it a grin, you know. Do you remember? And you will find. Don't overdo it. Don't go. But well, it does. Even if you completely exaggerate it, it makes it easier. All right. Okay, let me finish this song, and I think I don't have much else to say. It is a quite difficult song, really. All right, but let me get to it. Yeah. Tell me, do you remember? That's probably the most difficult part in the whole song. Tell me, do you remember? It's all happening in the throat. So many vocal coaches have put out videos saying stop singing in the throat, and I mean they are right with what they mean, what singing in the throat means to them, but these videos are for complete beginners. If you haven't learned about how to hold back your air using your stamina, and you know how to support a note with your breath, then not singing with your throat makes sense. But if you are a bit of more experienced singer and you have your belting technique down so that it sounds good, so that it's okay, then you tend you're more likely to run into the exact opposite type of problems. Exaggerating your supporting too much, building up too much tension. And this is something when singing from your throat comes back into play because it's beneficial for you. Tell me, do you remember? When I'm singing this, I'm I think about also I'm not exactly, yeah, it can also be helpful thinking up while going down with the notes that you're singing. Tell me, do you remember? But it's not really or getting to these tones. It takes a lot of inward thinking. Like even though you don't get higher, you don't do get lower, but I feel like from trying to get these tones right, finding the right position in the resonances that these where these tones are best located. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm sometimes I'm getting lost in translation a little bit, but okay. I hope you understand the placement. That's the word that I was looking for. For these, the placement for this note, for these notes is somewhere more like in this. Do you remember? I'm thinking about like the top of my mouth. And many people leave this out. They sing it kind of differently. Tell me, do you remember? Something like that, maybe. Yeah. But okay. Don't push too much. Because this comes from a belting approach now, and that's more like in the range where these trills usually happen. But it's also not so easy to get them right in this kind of in this case. Yeah. And okay, let me sing through this, and I think I've already done as much explaining as I can do. I'm always open for questions, so if you want to sing this song and maybe think you have a question for me that I can help you with, please get back to me. Write me a comment and I'll get back to you. Do you remember? Tell me now. Tell me now. Tell me now. Tell me now. Okay. Not so much happening towards the end of the song, except for this one trill that I explained before. All right, so thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.